Good evening, everybody. How's it going? It's your boy Joshie. Welcome to episode 382 of the Hoots Podcast here on this lovely Thursday evening here in Chicago. It's October 12th, 2023. A lot of crazy stuff going on in the world of life and of course the world of professional wrestling, and we're here to discuss this with all of you tonight. Hopefully you guys can hear me within the sound of my voice. Hope you guys are in good spirits, all that good stuff as we usually talk about here on the podcast that Hoots. As always, if you want to hang out with me, all you have to do is hit me up at Twitter at the Hoots Podcast. Always open to any suggestions, any constructive criticisms, any suggestions that you would like to hear or see on the podcast as we continue on our voyage to 400 episodes of the Hoots Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to throw it out there. If you're easily offended and you are kind of turned off sometimes by, let's say, foul language or non-PC dialogue, this episode may not be for you. And I don't want this episode to be a characterization of how I'm feeling at this moment, because me personally, outside the wrestling stuff, I'm happy as all hell. I'm in good spirits. I got no complaints. Obviously, last week's episode was a little difficult for me to record, obviously, because I'm still grieving with the passing from my late Aunt Chrissy, who unfortunately passed away last Wednesday. And obviously, that's still rough, and I'm still reeling from that. But I mean, outside of that, just how I feel in general, I'm in good spirits. At the same time, though, I must confess that I am at my wit's end with the, let's say, nonsense and the bullshit, not only that I had to sift through every day on social media when it comes to professional wrestling, but also shows like this. And I put it on Twitter earlier today that this is going to be one of those episodes. I'm not, obviously, for those who watch and listen for the last several years, you guys know that I don't hold back, sometimes to a detriment. But one thing that has always been consistent with this podcast since we started this 7 years ago is that I'm going to speak my mind. Maybe some people will agree with me, some people won't, and that's okay too. But what I'm not going to do here is sit here and fill you with a bunch of lies and wax poetic about, oh, how great it is to be a wrestling fan in 2023. And man, 1.5 million people were watching wrestling on Tuesday night. And wow, that just is another great signal of how great the industry is at this point. Because really, outside the numbers and the ratings stuff that people get in the tipsy about every single week, is it really a great time to be a wrestling fan? Is it really a great time to be a wrestling fan where you can't go on social media without seeing 10 different tweets from different people saying that if you like this person or that promotion or this style of presentation, you don't know what you're talking about, you don't fit in with us. And as a guy who's turning 30 years old next year in May, I'm just really sick and tired of the fucking high school mentality that comes with the general conversation in the world of professional wrestling. I'm going to say a lot of stuff on this episode tonight that a lot of you may or may not agree or disagree with. And personally, I don't care. I don't care at this point because I have nothing to lose. And I'm not here to impress anybody. I'm not here to kiss anybody's ass. I'm not here for an agenda. I'm here just talking to you off the cuff. We are doing ourselves a fucking disservice as wrestling fans. Irregardless of it's a show like this or any other shows you see on YouTube or the 500 audio wrestling podcasts that are out there, or what we see on social media and these crappy ass dirt sheets that try to pretend that they're real journalists. with the exception of Sean Ross Sapp. He's excluded from this conversation tonight. Whether it's the ratings, the Tuesday Night War, Tony Khan having his phone shoved up his ass, can't think straight. Irregardless of whatever the situation is, we are doing ourselves a disservice with the dialogue that we engage in each and every single week of the it's if I like this, I'm a shill. If I like this, I'm angling for a job. We can't watch the shows anymore for what we see in the ring. It's always about booking. It's always about this. It's always about that. And it's never about what the fuck's the most important thing and what's going on inside that 20 by 20 ring. And it pisses me off to no end. So, yeah, I got paid on Tuesday night to cover NXT. That's part of my job. I cover the weekly television shows for WWE for WrestlingHeadlines.com, and I'm very appreciative for the opportunity to have my job back. The fan in me, the fan Joshie, I don't know where that guy is anymore, because it's gone to this point for me now where I can't look at the business as a fan anymore. I can't. I understand that I have a responsibility to pay for what I got here at this house and reshuffle my bank account after losing my job earlier this year, and understand where I am right now in my life, and understand the fact that I'm turning 30 next year. And honestly, like, for me, the fan in me is not there anymore like it was for me when I first started doing this stuff. And I've been doing these type of shows and making transfers and stuff like that for a better part of a decade. And I hold the quality and the consistency of my work against anybody that you throw in my face that has a blue check mark or has a backing by a big media conglomerate, or God knows who else who's buying YouTube subscribers, since we want to shoot from the hip and talk about how great we are. What we do here on the Hoots Podcast is has authentic conversations. And yes, you guys are going to see in the description box. Oh, Josh, you do a segment every week called What the Hell is Wrong with AEW? You know what the premise of that segment is? I do that segment each and every single week because there's a collection of people who act like they do nothing wrong. I could come on here and record strictly what the hell is wrong with WWE segments. But guess what? That's 99 of the other fucking wrestling podcasts that you listen to. Now, for those who have watched and listened to this show for the last 7 years, would know how consistent I am with my takes, and that when I watch professional wrestling, I'm not watching it for the booking. So, yeah, if the worst thing about WWE is about who has the pencil for scripted, choreographed wrestling matches, then sue me. Sue me. Sorry that I don't watch the business for who's getting booked better this way or that way, or whatever buzzwords we want to attach to each performer. Oh, this person's getting hot-shotted. This person's having 50-50 booking. This person's having what do they call it? Hot potatoing stuff with the titles. All these different buzzwords that we got from the Dave Meltzers of the world and the Wade Kellers and et cetera, et cetera. I do not watch professional wrestling for this shit, and I don't enjoy covering professional wrestling for that stuff. I cover it because it's something that I want to do in my life and why I got into the media business in the first place. And it's really, really frustrating that we take the greatest form of entertainment for granted because we need to pump up our chest. We got to be clout chasers that claim to be content creators. Everybody's ripping each other off and their mother, and it's like it's one thing after the next. Where is the genuism in wrestling content creation in 2023? And that's my question to each and every single one of you that are watching and listening to this right now. Where is the genuism when it comes to talk about professional wrestling that's not littered with booking talks 99% of the time that we're having a conversation with each other, or the conversation that has merits and substance to it without trying to act like I'm the smartest person in the room. I will openly say here that I am not the smartest person in the room. And I openly say, due to the fact that I've been doing this stuff for 10 years, it does not make me better than any of you who are watching this or listening to us who have been supporting my work for the last 10 years. I am not above you. I don't think that my wrestling opinion is better than yours. I don't think my wrestling opinion has more weight than somebody else who does it for a living in the wrestling industry, because I have fucking common sense. And here's the main thing that a lot of people don't have in 2023. I have respect for the wrestling industry. What I don't have respect for is clout chasers. What I don't have respect for is inept promoters who are trying to sell you everything that they have within their soul, that they're legitimate competitors to promotions that have been around for 6 years, all because he's butt buddies with fucking Dave Meltzer and his little daddy gives him money to fund his fucking dirt sheet fantasy land. That's what I don't have respect for. And what I don't have respect for is my colleagues who make excuses for that guy week in, week out, week in, week out. No matter how many times he goes out of his way to throw shots, shoot arrows, and then play the victor card when he gets a response back. And what we're going to talk about later in What the Hell's Wrong with AEW is what about this? What about that? Here's the theme of this week's episode. Two wrongs do not make a right. So when we have a conversation about a promotion, I stay on topic. When other people have conversations about professional wrestling, we have to do the comparison game and talk about, well, AEW does this. Well, WWE does that. How about we stay on topic for once? Is that too hard to do? So, for everybody that's watching and listening to this right now, understand, I love professional wrestling more than anything, but I am not a fan of what this is anymore, of the content creation side of it, of the fan dialogue that comes with it, just the overall aura around it. It's everything that has not everything that's outside of what's going on our TV screens. I could give two shits about, to be honest with you. The tribalism, I don't gauge it. It's a waste of time. I'm a grown ass man. I got more important things to worry about than, oh, my favorite promotion did this. Oh, my favorite promotion did that. Just watch the fucking show. Okay? Everything outside of what we see in our TV screens, I do not care. I just don't. I don't care whether or not I have 5 million Twitter followers. I don't care whether or not the show has 10 million listeners or not. What I care about is coming here, having a genuine conversation about professional wrestling, provide a content for you guys that, maybe make your day better. Maybe, get your mind off of things. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on in our worlds, in our life. What I don't care for is useless arguments that have no substance to it. What I don't have respect for is clout chasers that hide behind their sources. And half the time, those people that are feeding the information are working the people that you guys jump to and run to for your wrestling news. So, as I'm going on this rant right now, what I'm saying here is that this episode is not here for your tribalism takes or whatever the fuck, or, oh, well, Vince McMahon did this, or, well, no. I don't care. I don't care. I've had enough of the nonsense that we have to sit through each and every single day on social media and content shows like this. It's a damn shame because we have one of the greatest forms in entertainment that we get to watch each and every week. It's a privilege. We're not It's not a right for us to watch professional wrestling. It's a privilege for myself to cover the industry like I've been doing for the last decade. I don't take that for granted. But because of all of you who are so fixated on getting liked and being a clout chaser and having clouts on wrestling Twitter and having your favorite wrestling bookers and your favorite wrestling interviewers notice you, we are ruining what makes professional wrestling great, and it makes me sick to my stomach. Like, I can't explain to you how annoying it is for me to sit through every single day on social media. Oh, we have a shitstorm with this topic. Oh, this show happened. It's this. The sky's falling. I've had enough of it. I've had enough of it. And there's a lot that we need. There's a lot of ground that we need to cover tonight. We got to talk about Fastlane. We got to talk about the Tuesday Night Wars. Yay! We had the Tuesday Night Wars. And then we got to talk about a wrestling promotion that wants to poke fun and bring up stuff that has to do with anti-Semitic stuff while there's a war going on. So I apologize in advance for the I may drop some foul language here that I'm not as gleeful as I usually am or in a more positive spirit. But I don't want, again, like I said at the beginning of the show, I don't want what I'm saying here tonight to be a characterization of how I'm feeling about where I am right now within me. Because outside the wrestling stuff, I'm great. I'm in good spirits. I wake up every day. I do my workouts. I'm trying to let me rephrase this, reshape my life, reimagine myself, and try to grow as a man every day and try to make sure that I'm going through with this project consistency, with being consistent and true to myself. And I'm still trying to find myself as a whole, and I made it perfectly clear that we are on the final stretch of this podcast. And regardless of whether or not we hit 1 million downloads or whatever, that's fine with me. I don't care. What I do care about though is that we are just in this like echo chamber of just nonsense where we're just missing the point of why we watch and enjoy professional wrestling in the first place. And it's just, I'm done with the toxic stuff. I really am. It's not fun to come and try to come up with ideas for a wrestling podcast, and yeah, there's a lot of great things going on in the business side, with the merger with WWE. And I saw today that Billy Corgan signed a TV deal for the NWA show, and OVW got highlighted on Netflix, and there's a lot of great things going on across the board in professional wrestling. But to say that because 1.5 million people watched on a Tuesday night for a fake war perpetuated by fucking marks who have no life whatsoever constitutes it. It's a great time to be a wrestling fan. I just don't buy into it. I can come here and say a lot of things, but here's the difference between me and everybody else who does content creation. I follow through with what I say and I show actions. And I just don't sense that genuine consistency and actual care for what we're doing as content creators. And I think we're doing a lot of wrestling fans a disservice. And that's just my opinion. So that's what I wanted to say on that. You can follow me on Twitter if you like at the Hoots Podcast. Make sure to subscribe to our channel. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. We're very close to reaching the 500 benchmark, which is pretty cool. Like I said, if you want to check out my other work, you can do that by going to wrestlingheadlines.com. let's start off the show like we usually do with the back porch Q&A session. Let's do this right now. Let's start off with the good brother Chris Zaletta at XT Zaletta24X on Twitter, and let's see what he has for us this week. What up, Boost? Here's some questions for the Q&A this week. Do you think it's possible that Paul Heyman is trying to recruit Ava? I don't see why it wouldn't work for Paul Heyman. I don't see like the bad that could come out of that. So it's certainly a possibility. I don't think that's. I'm pretty sure that's by design that they wanted to have that conversation out there. Whether it means The Rock is coming back or Ava's going to be fueled to bring The Rock back, I don't know. Let's just watch the show and see where it goes from there. How much longer do you think Carmelo Hayes and Braun Breaker remain in NXT? Well, I give Braun Breaker till the Royal Rumble, and then I think we'll probably see Carmelo Hayes on Raw or SmackDown after WrestleMania this year. Does Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits add another person or two to their stable? Well, I would certainly think that maybe they add a female. I'm not sure who that is. I mean, there's Mia Yim in the OC. You got Selena Vega in the LWO. You obviously got Mommy in the Judgment Day. There's a lot of groups right now, and there's obviously I just think it's wise to have a female in the faction these days, and I think that could work. But right now off the top of my head, I can't really pinpoint who's exactly the right person for Bobby and the Street Profits, because they recently just got together, and we need to get more nuance and layers of where that entity as itself is going. I mean, they just lost their match at Fastlane, so I can't. We need to see where it goes between those three guys before we worry about who's being added onto the group. Best match from Fastlane? That's a good question. I'm stuck between the triple threat match for the women's title, Chris, or the match that started off the show, which was Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso against the Judgment Day. That was my favorite match from the show on this past Saturday. I got mixed up. I was about to say Sunday, but no, Fastlane was on Sunday. Anyways, good question though. Your favorite part of NXT this past Tuesday? I'll get into that this week in WWE. On the women's side, more likely that could jump to WWE, Thunder Rosa or Jamie Hayter. I got Layla Gray as a sleeper. That's a good question. Man. When I look at the AEW roster, I mean, certainly there's performers that have got better their time. I'm not going to say that AEW's women's division is crappy or whatever. Is it littered with big time stars? I don't necessarily feel that's the case. You have a couple performers who are in limbo. There's ones that have injuries. And there's certain performers that I think that probably that would want to just stay in AEW, like Chris Statlander or a Ruby Soho or Hikaru Shida, and stuff like that, because that was a place where they got a lot of their big opportunities. But when it comes to Thunder Rosa and Jamie Hayter, I'd probably say more Thunder Rosa, because I'm not sure yet for Jamie Hayter. So much unfinished business, on her end, because she was dealing with the injury. We didn't get the one-on-one feud with her and Britt Baker. I'm pretty sure Jamie wants to get back to being the champion. So there's so much on the table for her to do in AEW. I just don't see her going to WWE anytime soon. And also, I just think Thunder, I think she would fit better in WWE right now. That's just my opinion. And as far as sleeper ones, I've been consistent with this, and it should happen. I don't know if it will, but I do genuinely believe that Penelope Ford would do really, really well in WWE, but that's just my opinion. um, let's go to the next question here. In what time frame do you think the full Adam Copeland and Christian Cage comes to full circle? Good question. Um, it depends on how they want to map this out. I trust in the fact that Adam Copeland can have better long-term story feuds than Chris Jericho. So when Chris Jericho gets himself in a feud, whoever he's feuding with is stuck with him for like 6 to 8 months, right? And they cosplayed it. Oh, it's great storytelling. No, Chris Jericho latches himself onto every new hot act in AEW, and more times than not, the person he's feuding with does not grow or get to a higher position after they're done feuding with the guy. I can't even mention MGF because MGF is successful with or without AEW. MJF is a generational talent, so no, Chris Jericho does not get credit for MJF. My best guess for that, Chris, would probably be a little bit either after Revolution or maybe coming out of Double or Nothing. Yeah, I'm pretty sure eventually we'll get to the point. And again, we don't know how long Adam Copeland still wants to wrestle, what his deal is. I don't have sources. I don't know what the nature of his contract is. I have no idea, to be honest with you. I'm pretty sure it's a couple of years and he got some good money out of it. So, and Christian's doing the best work of his career. So, either way, I'm pretty sure these guys could find a way to make it work and map it out. Does it take a full calendar year for them to get together as a tag team? We'll see. Do you, I knew this one was coming. Do you take back your 49ers not making the playoffs take? No, I don't. I'm not going to come here and discredit Brock Purdy. It's been pretty impressive what he's doing. My main point of saying with the 49ers not making the playoffs was, look, I'm not taking anything away from what they've been able to accomplish, but are we in the participation trophy business or are we about winning? And as many times as they light up the world and light up the scoreboards during the regular season, and their defense is otherworldly and all that stuff, and they've been in multiple NFC title games over the last couple of seasons, show me the results. The Colts for so many years were world beaters in the playoffs, and they only got one ring out of Peyton Manning during that time period. Um, you guys show me more than just participating. Yeah, you were in the Super Bowl, you lost, and yeah, Kyle Shanahan could light up scoreboards. He could be a great offensive coordinator and all that. But as a head coach that's going to lead a franchise to multiple Super Bowls, I haven't seen it yet. And I'm just at the point with the 49ers where they're kind of like the Los Angeles Dodgers. You can add anybody you want to the team. You can have the media kiss their ass every single season. Show me something, and then I'll take you more seriously. And no, I do not take back my take on the 49ers because it doesn't really matter what they do in the regular season. If you're losing in the first round or the NFC title game, did you really have a good season? That's just my opinion on that. Who wins the NXT Women's Breakout Tournament? I'm going to say Lola Vice, but, sometimes with the breakout tournaments in NXT, sometimes it favors the good guys. So possibly Kalani Jordan, but if it was my pick, I would go with Lola Vice as the winner. Last question here for Chris. He says, who would you have Roman Reigns face at Crown Jewel? Good question. I'm going to go with either LA Knight or John Cena. I'm pretty sure the people of Saudi Arabia would love to see John Cena and Roman Reigns one more time for the championship. I know maybe some people don't want to see that here domestically. I wouldn't mind it because I've enjoyed their rivalry and stuff over the years. But again, when it comes to these crown jewel pay-per-views, it's not always a show that's rooted in what's going on with the current storyline. So this show is more of a pit stop on the road to Survivor Series. So again, it does. I'm not saying that the show doesn't matter, because there's been some good PLEs that have come out of Saudi Arabia over the last couple of years, but at the same time, um, you know, um, I don't think you have any big picture things that are going to either hurt or benefit the program that comes out of these events. That's what I'm trying to say. But thank you, Chris, for the questions this week. As always, brother, I appreciate the support, and you did a great job as always. Give me 1 second here. All right, cool. Got it back. We're all ready to rock and roll. Sorry about that, guys. All right, let's go to the good brother Mike Rubio at Main Event Swerve. Um, let's see what Mike has for me this week. He says, "What up, Oops? I have several questions to fire off for this week, so let's get to it. First, I saw B Rob. Shout out to B Rob. And other friends text about Tony Khan's ratings tweet yesterday. I'm sure you're going to tear a new one on that one, but I would like to know what is the most random stat you have heard for TV or sports to justify crappy performance?" That's a very good question, Mike. I'm sorry to say this, Nate the Great, but I like Kirk Cousins as a person. I saw that quarterback series on Netflix. I thought it was very good, and Kirk Cousins was very good on that show. But anytime I see about uh, players that do well in garbage time, that have those like empty calorie stats, I kind of take that stuff with a grain of salt, to be honest with you. And again, I don't think Kirk Cousins is a bad quarterback or anything like that, but it's stuff like that I kind of take with a grain of salt. More times than not, the rating stuff that Tony Khan tweets out is just eye roll, because it's just coming from a disingenuous place. And again, there's going to be people that tell you, well, yeah, I've never been in a position of running a multi-million-dollar company. Well, no shit. That doesn't mean that the person running that promotion is immune to criticism just because you want to have a job with them. Like, I just don't get it. Just because the company's not run by a McMahon, we can't criticize Tony Khan, or you have an agenda towards him, or you hate and you want the promotion to fail. No, I don't want AEW to fail. AEW gets in their own way, and I'm going to explain why later on in the show. So those are the ones really off the top of my head that I can mention there. Also, in all that TK stat junk, did less people watch Title Tuesday at Dynamite, or is that just me? 600,000, that's it? Well, that's the funny thing, because we're going to get into this whole Tuesday Night War thing pretty soon, right? And I know everybody's prevailing thought is that, WWE just had to load up the show with main roster people and legends in order to beat Dynamite. Well, outside of Becky Lynch last week and Dominic Mysterio, NXT had more viewers than Dynamite, and NXT has been on a steady decline with their ratings for many months right now. So to say that it's just only because The Undertaker and John Cena and Paul Heyman and LA Knight were at the show last night, I think that's really a slap in the face of the performers that are at that show that have been putting the brand and elevating the brand. I think people are just still stuck on that NXT 2.0 early transition, and they can't give the credit to the performers. And I think that's bullshit, to be honest with you. Now, if NXT is not your cup of tea, that's fine too. But don't disregard these developmental talent um, and say that they're not doing anything and nobody wants to come back to watch the shows, only when the big time stars show up. I think that's bullshit. People want to see Tiffany Stratton. They want to see Carmelo Hayes. They want to see Trick Williams. They want to see Ilya Dragunov. They want to see Braun Breaker. This notion that NXT is incapable of drawing viewers when it's not littered with legends and people from Raw and SmackDown. I just don't agree with that because last week NXT had more viewers than Dynamite, and that's the flagship show for AEW. So going back to what I said earlier in the previous question, it's like we can't criticize Tony Khan, but everything that goes on with WWE is fair game when it comes to criticism, or you have an agenda attached to it. I'm not here for these double standard games. I'm just not here for that. I think that's nonsense, to be honest with you. Okay, let's play devil's advocate. If Tony Khan was launched into the sun or something similar, and you had the chance to run AEW, what are some immediate moves you would make right now? Well, first off, what I would do is let go of Rick Knox and Aubrey Edwards immediately. I'm finding the freaking rat stooge that's leaking everything off to Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez and immediately cutting off communication when it comes to sourcing and everything that's going on with the Observer, the Torch, all these other sites that's leaking stuff behind the scenes with the drama with AEW. I'm finding who that rat is and firing his ass. That's two. And thirdly, and more importantly, I'm not having the show being dominated by former WWE talent. And I get it, they're big name stars, but do you want to have an identity to your promotion or you want to be a ripoff of what TNA was in 2010? Because that's where AEW is right now. That's where it is right now. My thing with a lot of issues with AEW, it's just the messaging and how they go about their business. Saying that they offer sports-based wrestling, which is bullshit because their referees are just as useless as referees you see in the NFL. The commentary is not elite. All due respect to my guy JR, the guy who got me hooked into wrestling in the first place. If it's not Kevin Kelly and Nigel McGuinness and Taz, I don't want to hear anything commentary from AEW because it's subpar commentary that you get for a promotion that claims to have elite wrestling. And for me, when it comes to AEW, I'm starting to build an identity of what my promotion is with the people that I brought in the original case, where you are featuring more of Ricky Starks than you're featuring Chris Jericho, et cetera, et cetera. This promotion has no identity. It's a dirt sheet laden fantasy project. It's a dirt sheet vanity project attached with people who need their egos rehabbed from WWE, whether they were let go or whatever the situation is. It's a daycare center mixed with a dirt sheet vanity project. That's what it is. That's what their identity is right now. What was your favorite moment of NXT Tuesday? What other crazy crossovers would you like to see in the WWE universe? I'll say my thoughts on NXT in the WWE segment. Well, my as far as crazy crossovers I would like to see, that's a good question. Maybe it's just me, but I really think that, if you had, let's say you have Gunther against Braun Breaker, right? Like, what does that look like? What does Ilya Dragunov and Sheamus look like? What does Randy Orton against Carmelo Hayes look like? Hell, what does Tiffany Stratton look like against Charlotte Flair? that's the stuff off the top of my head of stuff that I would like to see as far as crossover matches are concerned. Speaking of crossovers, what did you think of the guy asking? Oh God, what what do you think of the guy asking Io Sky if she would wrestle Taylor Swift? Dumb, high, or otherwise? Speaking of Taylor Swift, I have nothing negative to say towards Taylor Swift because that woman is fucking hot. I'm just keeping it 100. And she looks damn good tonight at the football game she's at. But outside of that, look, I don't know Steve Fall, so I'm not going to come here and degrade this man's character or anything like that. From what I see from his interviews, he seems like a nice guy. I always have respect and admiration for people who have the hustle gene in them and get where they are. And he deserves his platform. When a guy that's contracted and done stuff with stuff in Boston and NBC and stuff like that, and the Sports Hub and everything in Boston, like the guy, he busted his ass to get where he's at. Okay. Now, do I agree with everything he says? No. Do I agree with his methods, with his interviews? No. But I'm not going to come here and denigrate the guy personally. What I will say, though, is that cringe-worthy questions are not acronym exclusive. And that's really the biggest thing that kind of bothered me and turned me off with that whole situation on Saturday when the press conference was going on. It's like, okay, we get it. Like, you asked the Cardi B question. We had the stuff where you're talking about Bad Bunny on Judgment Day. And again, more power to Steve for having the money and the opportunities to fly out and get to cover these type of events. It's not a jealousy thing for me. It's not anything that, again, I don't know Steve. I never met Steve. I never even had a chance to talk to the guy. But it's questions like that that gives people like myself and everybody else who does on-air audio content, audio content creation, and et cetera, in the wrestling space, it gives us a bad look. And you understand why guys like me and other people who have independent run content creation and platforms, it's why you recognize why people in WWE and their media relations department thumb their nose at people like me or other people who create stuff on YouTube and podcasts and stuff like that that's not backed by a major promotion. Now, Steve has been lucky enough to find himself working at a place where he could be in the opportunity to fly out and go to these press junkets and fly out and get approved for media credentials and be in press boxes and participate in these press junkets. Again, I have no bad ill will or whatever towards Steve. It's just that question in itself just gives us a bad look. It really does. I get it. You're trying to joke around with EO. You know, we had Bad Bunny show up. I get the basis of the question. I do. It's just the way it came off and the timing of it, and it just wasn't a good look. It wasn't. I get it that everybody's trying to feed off the Taylor Swift bandwagon, and as a quasi Swifty myself, I love Taylor Swift. I have nothing against her. You know, her and WWE be cool. I would love to see that. I think that'd be pretty funny. Again, I have nothing against Taylor Swift, and I understand why he asked it at that time. But when it comes to it being relevant to the conversation that was being had with Io Sky and Bailey and Damage Control, no. Just no. So it's hard to pinpoint, Mike, like one word that I was describe that question. But again, it just goes back to who you are approving to cover these type of events and stuff like that. And it's like, you know, I know that my platform is not doesn't have enough of the viewers or the traction or whatever to um I guess be approved for media credentials. It's not like I haven't been applying for the last 5 or 6 years or since the time I was approved the first time when I covered WrestleMania 31. But you know, they switched their departments over the years. Joe Villa is not running it anymore. Adam Hawkins is not in WWE anymore. And this happens in AEW too, this in general, when you like watch media scrums, it's not just pro wrestling exclusive too. It's also sports too, because I listen to these scrums that go on for the Bears and stuff and that, and they ask cringe worthy questions too. It's just I just think the nature of wherever you consider journalism in 2023 is just at the bottom of the barrel right now. And again, I'm not going to come here and denigrate Steve. I don't know him personally. So again, if you're watching or listening, I have nothing against you or anything like that personally. I just thought that question gave, people like myself and other people who do this and want the opportunity to cover these type of events in person so that it gives us a bad look, so yeah, that's my thoughts on that. What has been your favorite moment in WWE since SummerSlam 2022 when Triple H more or less took over creative? When Roman Reigns beat Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 39. There you go. Also, where do you want Jade Cargill to make her WWE in-ring debut, and how do you think it might happen? Well, I would like to see Jade Cargill on I would like to see her on Monday Night Raw. I would. I would not put her on SmackDown because after 2024, Fox is not picking up SmackDown. SmackDown's going to the USA Network. So, if it was something where Fox wanted to be more invested in WWE and they wanted to keep the relationship going, I can understand you wanting to have that platform to have Jade on that show. But I think for her and where things are right now, I think she could really make some hay for herself. And, her breaking out on Monday Night Raw could be a good thing for Raw when it comes to their TV rights negotiation situation right now. And for me, I would have her. I would have her show up at Survivor Series. Let her participate in a traditional Survivor Series match, or if you want to do a women's War Games match. I heard that thing being speculated this week that War Games is coming back at the Rosemont Horizon for Survivor Series this year. If that's the case, I think that's cool. I do. But there's a lot of things you could do. But I think for her, her excelling and having a good run on Monday Night Raw would do good for her, and showcasing her as she has that look. She's somebody that you want to represent your brand in TV rights negotiations and just business in general. So, also, who has a bigger breakout moment on Raw or SmackDown in the next 6 months to a year? Eddie Thorpe or Brian Pillman Jr.? Well, his name is Lexis King now. I'm going to say Eddie Thorpe only because I think Lexis King will have more time in NXT, and we'll see how much longer Eddie Thorpe is in NXT. So I'll go Eddie Thorpe by default, but it's a toss-up, to be honest with you. So it was a proud moment for my Astros last night, making it to a record 7 straight ALCS. Is this team a dynasty at this point? Well, if they win the World Series again and it's back to back, then I would probably say, yeah, it's probably a dynasty. But again, what you consider a dynasty and what other people consider a dynasty are two different things. A lot of those conversations are very subjective. But I mean, what does that say about the AL though? That the Astros make it 7 straight years. That'd be my only point, but it doesn't take away from the Astros either. So we'll see how it works out for them as they play the Rangers. Are you watching the Chiefs televised practice / slaughter of the opponent tonight? Any chance the Chiefs win by 30 or more, or am I underestimating the Broncos? The game is going on right now as I'm talking to you. I haven't looked at the score yet. Chiefs are up 10-0 with 3 minutes left in the first half. Mike, I'm not sure if they win by 30, but it is what it is. As I'm looking at the scores here, Patrick Mahomes threw an interception, and Russell Wilson's already threw an interception. Let's see who had the pick for. Justin Simmons picked off Patrick Mahomes, and Nick Bolton had the interception of Russell Wilson. And then for the touchdown, Kadarius Toney scored a touchdown in the second quarter for the Chiefs. So I don't know if it'll be by 30 points, but yeah, it's not going to look good for the Broncos tonight. All right, final question here. What do you think of the Connor Bedard getting his first NHL goal for the Blackhawks? Are you all as excited about his future as Houston is about new quarterback CJ Stroud? Maybe more. Okay, Oos, that's all for now. I look forward to checking out the pod this week. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you so much for the support as always. That's a very good question. I think for me, I think it's cool. I'm a hockey fan. I wouldn't say that I'm a mark for for NHL hockey, but I do appreciate what's going on with the Hawks. I obviously love the run when they were going on their hot streak in the early 2010s. And this city could use some positive momentum, when it comes to like winning championships and stuff like that. So I can't necessarily say that I'm going to be glued to the TV every single week because I got my work, I got my workout project that I'm doing, and I got other stuff to focus on. But I'm happy for the kid. I'm definitely excited, and hopefully he can be the talk of the league. That'd be a great thing not only for the city, obviously, but also for the NHL too, because I saw they drew in some really good numbers for the game with the Penguins on ESPN the other night. So any positivity that we can get with our Chicago sports team, I'll take it any time of the week. So that's my thoughts on that, but that's a good question. I want to thank Mike and Chris for the questions this week. As always, I appreciate you brothers for always hanging out with me and just shooting the shit when it comes to everything with the show. I know I went on a little rant when we kicked off the show, and I just want to really I just want to express my gratitude for each and every single one of you who support the podcast. I've been doing this stuff for 10 years, and I'm just over the toxic stuff when it comes to content creation and the tribalism and the daily discourse that we have to sit through every day on Twitter and shows like this. And just like, even for me, like, I'm not, if you ask me if I'm a wrestling fan in 2023, I'm not. This is work for me now, and I just wish it was more enjoyable to talk to with other people. Is what it is. But it's always a fun edition of the Back Porch Q&A session. If you have any questions for the Back Porch Q&A session this week, all you have to do is hit me up on Twitter at the Hoots Podcast or the Hoots Podcast at gmail.com. When we come back, we'll talk about what happened this week in WWE and then get ready for what the hell's wrong with AEW. Right here on the Hoots Podcast. Welcome back, everybody, to the Hoots Podcast. I'm talking about what happened this week in WWE. I want you guys to let me know in the comment section here on YouTube and on Twitter during the weekend. Let me know, or X. Let me know. In your opinion, what stood out the most to you from Fastlane, and also what did you like or maybe disliked from NXT this week with everything that went down? I mean, this was a very, very hectic week for WWE shows. It's been a very hectic week for myself too, on a transcript point of view. I'm not complaining. I was out of I was out of work for like 7 months, and I needed this more than anything. Like, I missed being on that grind, and um, I'll admit to a certain extent this week has been kind of draining for me on multiple levels. But I'm trying to keep a level headed and be in good spirits. But Fastlane was on Saturday. Let's start off with that because that's what happened on the show. Oh, here's Alyssa. I haven't seen you in a while. Thank you, Alyssa, for chiming in. She says, I'm not a fan of Damian Priest holding the money to bring so predictable, fail cash in, something wrong. I have no comment on that yet because, I think it's going to be a little while before he does cash in. I'm not going to rush to say that he's going to have a unsuccessful cash in. There's ways you could work around that situation. And I don't think it's just a foregone conclusion that he's going to misfire with his cash in. So we'll have to see what happens. But maybe you'll be right. Let's start off with Fastlane. Speaking of Damian Priest, because Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso kicked off the show against the Judgment Day for the undisputed tag team titles. This match was awesome. It was tremendous. That Cody Cutter 1D combo towards the end was crazy. Speaking of the Money in the Bank briefcase, they really worked on that left knee of Damian Priest. It was also a big part of the match too when JD McDonough accidentally hit Priest with the briefcase to his knee. Cody did the move on the announce table. I'm really not into like the whole technical aspect of the behind the scenes stuff with wrestling, like the finish and stuff like that, because I really don't really engage in booking talk. But the finish of the match, I thought was fantastic. And I gotta say this too. I gotta eat some crow because I was kind of concerned of how the PLE was gonna go with the fact that it was in Indianapolis, and more times than not, Indiana and Indianapolis is kind of a sea level crowd, and crowd wise for the shows they go throughout the year. But I thought the crowd in Indy was pretty good. It was much to my surprise. Uh, they were lively, and I guess that's another good sign of where things are going on right now with the WWE product. You have your people who hate watch it every week and hate tweet, but I thought it was cool. It was nice to see that. Cody and Jay win the tag team titles. They're as much as a mishmash tag team as Finn and Priest were. They have their issues with each other. They're more singles performance than they are tag team. So, it's kind of the thing to throw people off guard. This is going to bring more tension with the Judgment Day. We saw what happened with Priest and McDonough on Raw, where he's cut back for a commercial break, and the poor guy is choking him against the wall. I thought that's pretty funny, but that opening match was fantastic, and the crowd was eating it up, and they were eating it up on Monday for Cody and Jay. Let me talk about this really quick because I'd be remiss to mention this. The press conference with Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes was just pure comedy that I saw on Saturday night. I was crying laughing as I was watching it live. Jay Uso's a trip, man. He's just one of those people that you want to hang out with and shoot the shit with, and we're getting the yeets going on, and you feel me? You feel me, Us? You got that stuff going on too. And I like the dynamic with Cody and Jay. Jay's on a roll right now. The crowd's eating up everything that he's serving on the wrestling canvas, and obviously Cody's still the biggest star, biggest good guy in WWE, and you know, whether it tells you the state of the affairs of the tag team division, I don't know if that's a conversation we need to get into that right now, but I enjoyed the press conference those two had. I thought it was very funny. You had some hard hitting questions for Cody as well during that, but I thought that was cool. Really quick, other quick takeaways from Fastlane. I don't want this show to be too long this week. Let's go with this. The triple threat women's match for the women's title. Io retains things with help from Bailey. I thought these three ladies killed it. They call John Cena Big Match John, but I don't know a performer in WWE or any promotion that's as consistent when it comes to delivering on big time stages and delivering on like pay-per-views consistently as Charlotte Flair. Whether she wins or loses the matches or most times or not is irrelevant to what I'm mentioning here. I'm just talking about strictly a performance point of view when it comes to consistency and delivering on those big time matches. She's on another level. She really is. I as the weeks and months and years go by, a lot of people are going to regret not appreciating what Charlotte's done in this run in WWE and taking her for granted. And you know, for a girl, she started late. She started wrestling late. This is not what she wanted to do originally. And whether you're a fan of her or not, again, all that stuff's subjective. I'm not gonna say you're right or wrong on Charlotte Flair. What I will say though is that when it comes to just delivering on big time stages, she's the best in the world, and that's what it is. um, what else that I forgot to mention here on the show? Oh, very cool to see Carlito, fellow Barican. You guys see the sign in the back. Very cool to see, cool, pun intended, to see Carlito show up. Looks like we'll finally get to see him on SmackDown going forward as part of the LWO. I know this has been scuttlebutt about, what happened. This was supposed to happen a couple months ago. Now it's happening. It's all about timing. And, the match itself, I thought was okay. It wasn't anything like I was crazy about. It was mostly a handicap match. But they got the crowd going with the reaction when Carlito came out. So it served its purpose. What else? Speaking of serving its purpose, look at this. Fastlane on Saturday was only 5 matches. Nothing else needs to be said. John Cena and LA Knight defeating the Bloodline. I was watching the show earlier today, and they were like, did LA Knight really benefit from working with John Cena or guiding from working and being a tag team with John Cena? To say that LA Knight's not in any beneficial situation from working with John Cena, I think that's bullshit. It's just a funny thing with people who create shows like this, that they project their either like or dislike a performer, and they'll just discredit whatever they do. So for example, let's say like I'm not a John Cena fan, right? Doesn't matter who works with him, who benefits, who gets the rub from him, since we all love these buzzwords on these podcasts. if I associate myself with John Cena, did I really benefit from working with one of the greatest wrestlers of all time? It just pops me though when I see people like you can openly tell with the people who create shows like this who's their favorites and who's not. I had no bones. I had no bones over the fact that I do acknowledge the tribal chief and he is the man. But even then, to say that LA Knight didn't gain anything from working with John Cena, I don't know what show you're watching. The crowds eating it up. The match was good. So, oh well. We had the Seth Rollins Shinsuke Nakamura last man stand match. This was the main event of Fastlane. Um, very physical match. Obviously, this was Nakamura's coming out party. This program with Seth Rollins. He started to get back into on a bigger level. He's finding something that's working for him as a heel, and this match was good. Obviously, the result was never in doubt, but I thought for me personally, I like this match more than the match they had at Payback, and not because it was a no DQ match. I just felt like the match itself was better than the one at Payback. And Seth Rollins retained a lot of crazy spots. Nakamura blind Rollins would miss. Rollins went through multiple tables. There was a lot of focus on the back. Um, Sometimes last man standing matches hit. Sometimes last man standing matches misses. You know, but Seth Rollins and Nakamura, I thought did a really good job. Is this a match that I would say is a classic or in that over bloated match of the year candidate that the guy that does the whole wrestling club tweets out every 5 seconds? No, but I thought it was an enjoyable main event, and I thought Fastlane was a pretty solid show in itself. So pretty solid pay per view from Indianapolis, Indiana, and also shout out to see Pat McAfee do commentary with Michael Cole. Speaking of Michael Cole, this is a good transition into what happened on Raw this past Monday in Omaha, Nebraska. For those who've been watching and listening to this show, know that I've been clamoring for Michael Cole to go back to doing these, interviews that he was doing during the time with the Authority, and that the sit down interviews he would do weekly on WWE.com. He would have these sit down conversations with different performers. A lot of times it was with Triple H, and there's hard questions going in, and there's I really thought those type of interviews was really good because it was a platform for characters development. A lot of people that benefited from participating in those interviews was like Kevin Owens and the New Day and Bray Wyatt, obviously. We had the interview that Cole did with Seth Rollins last week before Fastlane. Now this week, Cole had an interview with Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso, and it's obviously the elephant in the room, and it's on everybody's mind about the whole finishing the story thing. And I love this. This was my favorite part of TV this week was the interview with Cody Rhodes and Michael Cole on Monday. I thought it was fantastic. Is it something that you could do every week? I don't know. I don't know if you can do it in the ring every week, but to have that opportunity to have those type of sit down interviews, I think is very beneficial for a lot of different performers that are either going in different directions as characters, or a good platform for feuds that are not having as much like heat and momentum behind it. I really really been enjoying the stuff Cole's been doing recently. And that interview that he did with Cody on Monday was fucking fantastic. Another thing that I mentioned here on the show a lot is about maximizing your TV time. And I thought Shayna Baszler did that this week on Raw. The Nia Jax Raquel Rodriguez match was okay. I wouldn't say this was good or bad. I thought the match was just there. Kind of ended in chaos. Ended up with a brawl. Rhea Ripley came out. Shayna Baszler came out, dropped her with a running knee strike. I like the interview she did with Jackie Redmond backstage and kind of spoke for herself. She's not going to be playing second fiddle to anybody, and she's going to lay out everybody that stands in her way. I thought that was good. What else from Raw that I can pinpoint here? By the way, for those who are wondering, for the fact that Taylor Swift, if you didn't know, is at the Chiefs game with that douche canoe, Travis Kelce. Yes, the Chiefs are up 13-0 at halftime. Now, coming off the Fastlane, we know we're on the heels going to Crown Jewel. It was announced that Seth Rollins will be taking on Drew McIntyre for the World Heavyweight Championship. I'm personally looking forward to this match because not only will it be a really good match, but we're seeing what's going on with Drew McIntyre, and sooner or later he's going to make that full switch and it's going to be a cool moment. But, Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre is the first matchup. It's a match that hasn't been done in a couple of years, if I'm not mistaken. And it's going to be good. So Drew and Seth fighting each other at Crown Jewel, I think that's going to be pretty dope. It's going to be a pretty dope match. And then Drew McIntyre took on JD McDonough on the show. I mentioned earlier what happened with him getting choked out by Damian Priest. Ivar defeated Kofi Kingston in the Vikings Rules match. I thought that match was very good as well. What else did I forget to mention here on this show? I was talking about the interview with Cody Rhodes and Michael Cole, but the interaction with Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Cody Rhodes, and Jey Uso, I found that to be very interesting because on the one hand, you can say like, hey, this may possibly start leading the direction of Kevin and Sami going, turning heels. And do you feel like at this point that their characters are kind of like a woe is me, like we've lost momentum since we lost the tag titles, or not as hot as we were going into WrestleMania this year? You have these questions circulating and stuff like that. It's interesting conundrum to watch and see how it progresses. But Kevin had, going into the show Monday, had next to no reason to support or like or trust Jey Uso. That's been a running storyline as well that's been going on over the last couple weeks. And as I've been mentioning here on the show over the last couple weeks, like Raw has just been delivering the goods. It's been a very, very good watch over the last couple weeks. And I know the scuttlebutt this week outside the lame-ass Tuesday Night Wars is that, Triple H now has 99.9% control over creative. And I saw that news hit the other day, and I'm like, who gives a shit? Who cares who has the pencil? Watch the show. So I think the show in itself, Raw, has been getting a lot better over the last couple of weeks. Obviously, it's not easy to produce 3 hours of television each week, but even with that, with the fact that the football game, the NFL's back and everything's going on with the football season, it hasn't looked like Raw has slowed any momentum, So that's just my thing. Let's take a look here at the other stuff that I forgot to mention for Raw. Oh, Chad Gable, Ricochet, and Bronson Reed. The triple threat match, very, very good. Bronson Reed on Monday will be taking on Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship. That match is going to be awesome. Big meaty man bumping meat. That match is going to be sick. We had Becky Lynch retaining her NXT Women's Championship over Tegan Nox. I know Tegan Nox is a favorite in the internet wrestling community. I think she's good. I wouldn't say she's great or anything like that, but she hasn't really had the opportunity to showcase her character, so there's really hasn't been a reason to be emotionally invested in her stuff. But hey, you want to see some new flesh and blood and give these women that you have signed to your roster, give them an opportunity to be on the show and do what they do. I thought the match was good. They gave it a lot of time, more time than I thought it was going to be, and probably, to be honest with you, more time than it needed it to be. You could have scratched maybe 5 minutes off that match, but nonetheless, Becky Lynch retained, still looking good. She's got a book coming out. That girl's clicking on all cylinders. She's fantastic. Speaking of fantastic, how about that Ludwig Kaiser vignette? Holy moly, man. That was funny as shit. If you want like a old school 80s-esque WWE vignette on a character, that was it to a nutshell. I thought that was cool. I thought that was very good. Speaking of Kaiser, him and Vinci ambushed DIY's interview with Byron Saxton. Was not expecting that. So so Imperium against DIY, sign me up for that. I'm down to see that on TV or at Crown Jewel. So let's see how that one plays out as well. And then obviously we had the main event. It was Cody and Jay against Kevin and Sammy for the tag team titles. And we had Cody and Jay retain. This match was very physical. There was a lot of brawls at ringside. These guys were mollywopping each other. The referee was starting to lose control at this point. And this match was very, very good. It was a good main event. The crowd was into it. I was into it. It was just a good time. And Cody and Jay retained on Monday. Very, very, very good match. Fun one to type out. After the match, Cody shakes hands with Sammy. Kevin's on the outside looking in. Kevin eventually comes into the ring and hugs Jey Uso. So I guess there's no more beef between those guys, which was nice to see. I just thought it was a really good main event to what was a very, very good addition to Monday Night Raw. Now, as we speak tomorrow night, the Tribal Chief will be back. The Tribal Chief will be on the show. Roman Reigns will be back on SmackDown. And all I can say right now as to what to expect is that Jimmy Uso is going to have a harsh lesson in life displayed onto him tomorrow night. And I'm here for it because there's a lot of people in the world who act and carry themselves in a delusional manner. We'll get to that other person is in a couple minutes. But Jimmy Uso, in his character recently, has been very delusional and naive to what he thinks he is and what he's trying to do with the bloodline, as far as where he actually stands within the group. We have not heard from Roman Reigns since SummerSlam. The vacation's over. Everybody can be happy now. Roman Reigns is back on our TV screens. So what is going to happen? Who will he fight? Will we have a return? I heard that Triple H is going to be on SmackDown tomorrow as well. Roman Reigns, I'm excited. This is the first show for me that I've got a chance to type out for a Roman Reigns match and stuff like that since the Royal Rumble for the match he had with Kevin Owens. I didn't cover WrestleMania, so I didn't get a chance to do it. But looking back at it now and seeing where things are, a lot of people want his title reign to come to an end. For those who are watching and listeners, I'd love to know your guys' thoughts. Who would you like to see Roman Reigns fight at Crown Jewel? What do you want to see next from the tribal chief? Let me know. But Jimmy Uso's in for one tomorrow, and that's gonna be funny. Roman Reigns is gonna kill us with the snarky facial expressions. It's not gonna be a good night for Jim Uso. Let's just say that. I, for one, would love to see Roman against AJ Styles at Crown Jewel. I think that'd be dope. But that's just my opinion. But very, very curious to see how that one plays out coming up on SmackDown tomorrow night on Fox. All right, one more thing to discuss before we get into our main event segment this week. NXT is a very, very successful night for NXT on Tuesday. And they've been building and having steady momentum over the last month or two. And they've been putting out some really good PLEs recently. I mentioned before that I thought the No Mercy show was fantastic. And they've been developing and having good stuff on the programming that's not just only dependent on main roster stars. I just think a lot of my colleagues just want to discredit NXT because they're drawing and having growth with their product while being unwilling to admit that the other competition's product, their flagship show, is stagnant and is not growing. So it's only because The Undertaker and John Cena and Cody Rhodes was on NXT is the only reason why NXT defeated AEW. Not to mention, like I mentioned earlier in the back porch Q&A session, NXT had more viewers than Dynamite last week, and they've been creeping up towards the numbers that Dynamite's been drawing weekly for the past month or so. So it's only just because John Cena, The Undertaker, and Cody Rhodes was on this show. It has nothing to do with Cody. It has nothing to do with Carmelo Hayes. It has nothing to do with Tiffany Stratton. It has nothing to do with Braun Breaker or Ilya Dragunov or Trick Williams or the show itself. It's only because the big stars are there, right? And look, I'm not naive. Of course, yeah, you bring in John Cena and Cody Rhodes and stuff like that to thumb their nose at AEW. It's business. Get over it. Stop crying like a little bitch. Oh, we have to feel sorry for the fact that The Undertaker and John Cena and all these other people are on NXT. Well, aren't you the same people in the same bubble, in the same field as mine, that tell me that Bryan Danielson is a bigger star than John Cena right now in 2023? And you got Chris Jericho, and you got Edge, and you got MJF, and you got all these other people. But it's a sin to bring John Cena and Cody Rhodes to thumb their nose at the poor AEW. Like, give me a break. They were already drawing in viewers closer up to Dynamite even before this whole lame-ass Tuesday Night Wars was even a thing. Another dumb concept built on and funded by the freaking dirt sheets and nonsense that we have to sit through each and every single week. I don't know how you don't watch that show on Tuesday and not get credit to the performers that are there weekly, and to say that nobody was benefited by associating with themselves with a John Cena or a Cody Rhodes or The Undertaker for what he did for both Carmelo Hayes and Braun Breaker in that main event on Tuesday. It's just bullshit. Now, I can understand it if it was just stuff that is just only adding stuff for the storylines for Raw and SmackDown, but you had stuff with the Pub Rules match. They had a grudge feud going on with the Brawling Brutes and Gallus. We had this breakout tournament going on. Roxanne Perez, they're building up and hyping things up for Halloween Havoc that's starting in a couple of weeks. And, excuse me. Yeah. Okay, Cody Rhodes and all these other people were there. But just so dismissive of the NXT brand and the momentum that they've been building over the last couple months, I genuinely believe it's a slap in the face to the performers down there. Now, you could be the biggest NXT black and gold mark in the world, but to say that these younger talents are not making NXT watchable, I just will respectfully have to agree to disagree with you. And yeah, bringing in John Cena and The Undertaker and all these other people, yeah, it's a competition thing. Nobody's denying that. But let's not deny what these young talents in the NXT roster have been dishing out recently, because they are good performers. They are good at what they do. I I don't know how you can watch that show on Tuesday and say there's no reason to watch NXT after what we saw on Tuesday night. You just openly either hate NXT or you openly dislike anything that pops out from WWE, or you use that as an excuse because you just don't have the time to watch NXT every week. And if you don't have the time to watch NXT every week, that's cool. Nobody's begrudging you for that. But don't shit and disregard and denigrate these young talents who are busting their ass, and a roster is not littered and being a Ring of Honor ripoff, which NXT Black and Gold was. Don't denigrate these performers just because you don't have the time to watch their show. To say you have no reason to watch NXT, it's only gaining momentum because it's only featuring stars from Raw and SmackDown. So Trick Williams hasn't benefited from what's been going on over the last couple months. Ilya Dragunov, Tiffany Stratton, Carmelo Hayes, Tony D'Angelo, Roxanne Perez with Asuka in the match they had on Tuesday. Dragon Lee, to the point now Dragon Lee's not part of the main roster. So absolutely nothing's going on that's worthwhile watching on NXT, right? The Brian Pillman Jr. vignette did nothing for you. I just wish people would just be more genuine with their takes than just, okay, I don't like NXT because they get away my precious AEW. Hey, it's not NXT. It's not NXT's fault that TBS felt that it was more important to have the MLB playoffs on a Wednesday night in hockey than Dynamite on their regularly scheduled Wednesday night. That's NXT and Shawn Michaels' fault, right? So silly freaking conspiracy theories. They can't give credit where credit's due, and that just is stuff that just makes me laugh. Yeah, I get it. The Undertaker and John Cena and Cody Rhodes and LA Knight were on the show. But did you actually watch that show? To say no storylines was advanced on that show, this tells you what you need to know. You weren't paying attention to it. You don't watch their shows, and that's okay too. But just admit that you don't watch the show, and then you skim through it or you try to find clips on it on Twitter and then make an assumption based off of that. If you're not watching, don't talk on it. If you are going to make an assumption on NXT, actually sit through the show and watch it for yourself without coming in with a preconceived notion. So I think for me, it's time for my colleagues and everybody else to give NXT its flowers, because they've been a consistent brand. Everybody wants to talk about booking and everything like that. If you want to talk about the product right now that's delivering consistent long-term storylines and character development and good matches and weekly television, it's NXT. And I'm saying that as objectively as possible, and even me as a New Japan guy. So just be open and just say you don't watch the show, and that's okay. Nobody's gonna begrudge you for not watching NXT because you don't have time and you got a life. I get it. I watch NXT because it's part of my job. But even if I was not covering the show right now, I was still watching because I'm enjoying what they've been producing recently. They are having good shows. They are developing talent. They are giving you a reason to watch the show. Hell, they even build a thread during the middle of the show where you start hyping things up for the Halloween Havoc special that they're having on TV soon. But no, it's going to be unsustainable for NXT to draw as much as Dynamite every week because you can't rely on having the Undertaker and Cody Rhodes and John Cena on the show. Well, guess what? NXT beat Dynamite in the Veers not only this week but last week, and been creeping towards that direction for the past 2 months. So it's okay for the victory lap for AEW when they were initially beating NXT in the Wednesday Night Wars and all that, but nobody mentions that NXT freaking dog walks over Rampage and Collision collectively every single week. It's a big crowning achievement. Tony Khan had to dish out a super card on a Tuesday night against the third biggest brand in WWE, but nobody mentions that the third brand from WWE dog walks over Rampage and Collision every single week, and it's getting close to averaging as much as their flagship show every single week. Let's be objective here, folks. I'm not telling you that you have to like WWE or anything like that, but to be so dismissive and not notice the trends that are going on right now within NXT, the brand itself, you're doing yourself a disservice and you're lying to the people that you're creating content to. And I think it's disingenuous to say that with a straight face and say that, oh, you have no other reason to tune in to NXT unless there's main roster stars on there. I think that's bullshit. So with that being said, that's what happened this week in WWE. When we come back, it's time, ladies and gentlemen, what you all been waiting for, what you need, what you salivate for. Ladies and gentlemen, this may be the most legendary edition of What the Hell is Wrong with AEW. Let me pray here before I pop a blood vessel. This bad boy starts off in a 3, a 2, a 1.
Your meat, beat 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 your meat.
I'm telling you, my time is right now. Right this minute, 2022. We're living in my time is now. My time is right goddamn now.
Man, what intensity. The quality of the product and the quality of the shows is at an all-time high right now. But I do know that it's a real war between AEW and WWE.
I'm still cashing fat checks, and I am still banging the hottest bitch in this entire place.
It's time for What the Hell is Wrong with AEW?
Beat your meat, beat.
Fuck this shit, I'm out. Fuck this shit, I'm out. No thanks. Don't mind me. I'ma just grab my stuff and leave. Excuse me, please. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Nope. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Alright then. I don't know what the fuck just happened, but I don't really care. I'ma get the fuck up out of here. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Fuck this shit, I'm out.
All right. Brother Carter, this is for you. How do I do this to myself each and every single week? Ladies and gentlemen, what the hell is wrong with AEW? aka what is it wrong with AEW? Folks, when are we going to admit to ourselves that this promotion is a blatant ripoff of TNA in 2010? I'm at the point right now where you're saying that AEW is relative to WCW as them being a threat to WWE. It's just laughable at this point, to be honest with you. And if that's your take, it is what it is. I'm gonna laugh at you because in every single metric that would happen on Tuesday night, and I'm not even the biggest like guy that when it comes to like the whole rating situation, but objectively, as you watch the shows on Tuesday night and notice what's been going on over the last couple of months in AEW and the whole drama with CM Punk and everything, anybody telling you with a straight face that AEW is a legitimate threat to WWE, like, you either want to be followed or on the payroll with Tony Khan because their show's not growing. You could bring in Edge. What? You could bring in Sasha Banks. What? You could bring Will Ospreay. What? You could bring in Okada. You could bring anybody and their mother and their crackheaded sister who's sleeping with their other cousin from Mississippi. Whatever the situation, you could bring in anybody that you want into AEW. And the way things are going on right now, they are stagnant. They're cold. They're not growing. They're not gaining momentum. It's just there. It's a dirt sheet vanity project. That's not to say that there's not good things happening on the show. You got your MJFs of the world. You got your Toni Storm really making a name for herself with the new character that she's doing. Saraya's been looking very good in the ring, on the microphone, in general. Waterfall to the nth degree with that woman. Holy shit. But you got your FTRs. You got Hangman Page. As critical as I've been at times with Swerve Strickland and him going and running to the dirt sheets for sympathy, I like what he's been doing on TV recently and the matches he's been having. Obviously, the one he had with Bryan Danielson this past Tuesday night was very, very good. And, you know, we got the Prince Nana thing with the dance. I just did it right there for you guys right there. Like, I'm down with Swerve Strickland. He's been doing some good stuff recently. There is good aspects to AEW. You know, the stuff with Adam Cole and Roderick Strong has been pretty funny recently. I'm not saying everything currently going on with AEW is not good, but objectively, to say it, the promotion itself is growing and it's a legitimate threat. Legitimate threat to fucking what? They're as much of a threat to WWE as TNA was a threat to WWE in 2010. And nobody else wants to say it, but I'll say it. Because we have this spectrum of delusional people who just buy into anything that Tony Khan sells them. Edge is in AEW. Oh my God, they're going to start all drawing Monday Night Raw. Oh my God, it's Chris Jericho. Oh my God, it's Bryan Danielson. Oh my God, it's Adam Cole. Oh my God, we have all these star powers that weren't used right and weren't booked right in WWE. But guess what? All we can draw is 800,000 viewers a week. Oh, we're on Tuesday nights with a supercard, Title Tuesday, and we get 600,000 people. And then we got this jackass here. And I've tried my best. I really have. I've been really trying my best to give credit where it's due and get benefit of the doubt and try my best to see where things are coming from with Tony Khan. And again, I don't have anything personally against the guy. I don't want him to fail. I don't want AEW to fail. I don't want any of that stuff to happen. But you want to know what the issue is with AEW and why it's in this stagnant position that it's in. It's because who's running it? A guy legitimately with the fucking stupidest Twitter account on God's green earth. I don't know who's more inept on Twitter, him or fucking OJ. I know who's more useless on Twitter with their fucking brain cells than Tony Khan or Elon Musk. This jackass that's so fixated on the opinion of a guy who means next to fucking nothing in the real world. You saw this tweet, right? You saw this tweet, right? About him saying, well, after last night, there's no way Shawn Michaels is going to get the Booker of the Year award. Who gives a fuck about the Booker of the Year award? Who cares? Seriously, I'm genuinely asking anybody that's watching and listening to this, who gives a rat's ass what Dave Meltzer or Brian Alvarez or Mike Sempervive, wherever the fuck they have on that network thinks? Who cares? In the outside world, outside the wrestling bubble, who cares who's the Booker of the Year? That's this guy's main source of what he does. New Japan implementation, Ring of Honor, history of pro wrestling, long matches, blood. Everything is so fixated on the opinion of Dave Meltzer. It's a fucking joke at this point. Literally, he said that with a straight face that, well, after last night on Tuesday, there's no way Shawn Michaels going to win the award. Who gives a flying fuck? Obviously, you could bring in everybody and their mother from WWE to AEW just like TNA did. What? Just like WCW did. What? And guess what? You're not growing. You can have Wembley Stadium. You can have your dad's unlimited fucking bank account. It doesn't change the fact that your show as a whole is stagnant as fuck. And it's a shame for me to say that AEW is more relative to TNA than WCW, because guess what? When TNA was trying to go head-to-head with Raw back in 2010, and we all know that was a stupid decision back then, TNA was drawing 2 million viewers. These motherfuckers can't average 1 million viewers if their fucking life depended on it. That's the truth. Nobody wants to tell you that because, oh, we can't offend Tony Khan. We can't criticize AEW. They do absolutely nothing wrong, right? They're immune to criticism. They're Teflon. Shout out to Teflon Taz, by the way. Happy belated birthday. Even here, this is not even me for a dig towards Taz. I like Taz. I'm a big fan of Taz. Love him as a wrestler. Love him as a commentator. Loved his radio show, The Taz Show. Like the stuff that he did on WFAN when he was on the bigger local New York radio stations. I'm a fan of Taz. I love Edge. I did this whole thing last week to tell you about how great Edge is and talk about how this great stuff that's going on with him and Christian Cage. The promo that Christian cut on Dynamite on Wednesday was very good. Obviously, the dig towards the Kansas City Chiefs and them relying on the referees like the Patriots, that got a pop out of me. And everything that Christian's been doing recently is fantastic. If you ask me my opinion, outside of Dominic Mysterio, Christian Cage has been the best heel in professional wrestling in 2023. But guess what? I'm the AEW hater, right? I'm the one that sees that they do nothing right? I'm the one that wants them to fail. I'm the one that wants AEW to fail when the fucking head of creative, the general manager, the owner of this promotion is more fixated on the opinion of a fucking schmuck from San Jose, California than growing his own fucking promotion and having an identity. Tony, it's 2023, and here you are sending pot shots at WWE like you're a fucking message board twat. Oh, I forgot. You were a message board twat. You were a subscriber to the newsletter. You tweet like the audience that you have. How funny that is. It's full circle. You tweet and you carry yourself as a promoter and lead headman of a multi-million-dollar company like you are a fucking twat with 23 followers with an egg avatar on Twitter talking about how great AEW is and how much WWE sucks, and you just fit so well in that IWC dirt sheet bubble. You watch your shows that you produce is 100% placated and dedicated to that niche audience. There's no growth. Every time you go to different markets, the attendance continue to go down, 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 down. Rampage is a useless brand. Collision, I get it. They've dealt with a lot of competition from PLEs and college football and all that. But even then, is Collision really a show that I need to watch? Is it really must-see television? And your flagship show, with all these stars and all these big dangle carrots. Oh my God, Keith Lee is in AEW. Oh my God, Bryan Danielson's in AEW. Oh, watch out, they're gonna beat Raw in the ratings. Oh my God, is that Will Ospreay? Oh my God, it's Kenny Omega. All these guys, and these guys still can't hover a million if your life depended on it. You want to know what the ceiling was for AEW as we're almost 5 years into this promotion? Is the night CM Punk made his debut at the United Center for the first dance. And since that point, AEW is a stagnant dirt sheet vanity project. You could take all the shots you want in the world at Vince McMahon. You could call Triple H and Shawn Michaels bald assholes. You could go out of your way and waste your time this morning, as I'm recording this on a Thursday, carrying and conducting yourself like a fucking jackass and disrespecting The Undertaker and John Cena and taking shots at them and talking about, oh, this is the first time in history that John Cena and The Undertaker weren't able to pop over weren't able to pop over 1 million viewers. Motherfucker, you run a promotion and the new biggest shiny toy that you brought in wrestled in front of 3,500 people in Independence, Missouri, and was on a show that drew 600,000 viewers. Look in the fucking mirror. Not only that, it's hard for me to recap the shows and look what's going on with the current state of affairs of AEW. Like I said earlier, not everything is going wrong. I'm not coming here and forecasting their demise. I'm not saying that they're going out of business anytime soon. What we're doing right now is a fucking reality check to you, Tony Khan, and everybody else that acts like they do nothing wrong and make every excuses known to man. Because none of you have the balls to say it. None of you. You don't have the balls to do it. Because you want that attention from TK. You need that attention. You want to be buddies with him. You want to work for the guy. I get it. I totally do. I get it. And here's the funny thing. Since we started this segment, outside of what Tony Khan, outside of the stuff that I mentioned with the tweets, have I mentioned WWE once? And what they're doing compared to what you're not doing? I just find it funny that I could keep the conversation to what's going on with one company without having to bring up something that's going on with another company to make my point. And here's the funny thing too, because we had this lame ass Tuesday Night Wars. Oh my God, it's so great for pro wrestling that 1.5 million people watch wrestling. Oh man, it's such a great time to be a fan, right? Such a great time to be a fan. Well, guess what? It's such a great time to be a fan where half the conversation about, well, what about WWE this? Well, what about AEW that? I saw that a gazillion times more than Tony Khan's Coke-related tweets. By the way, Tony, how's your birthday cake? I'm sure it was pretty mid like the show that you produced on Tuesday night. No wonder why your panties is up in a fucking draw this week, because you can't hold an L. Fucking CLAHN. And don't think that I was not going to forget about this. So, this weekend, we had a very, very unfortunate and tragic and sad situation go around in Israel. If you're living under a rock, you guys know what's going on with the whole hate wars that's going on right now in the country. And it's sickening, to be honest with you. It makes me sick to my stomach what's going on out there. And to see what happened with Juice Robinson and MJF last Tuesday was sickening to my stomach. And for MJF, who I like, and I said countless amounts of praise towards the guy, there is no excuse for what happened on Tuesday with that fucking roll of quarters shit that we saw on TV on TBS the other day. If I'm Warner Brothers Discovery, I'm WBD, and I gave you all this free commercial free 30 minutes of the show, 45-minute show, 15 plus minute overrun, everything in between to see, if I could beat WWE's third brand. I do everything in my power as WBD to make AEW look good, right? And you fucking idiots don't read the room. So we have the past of MJF mentioned that he was bullied for him being a Jew, and the kids in high school would bully him by throwing quarters at him, right? So what's the wisdom that's approved on this fucking Outlaw Mud show? We have Juice Robinson holding a roll of quarters with Max's last name written on it in a lame attempt of cheap heat. And this goes into this conversation where, what about this? What about that? MJF. I don't care whether you approve of this or not, but for you to use Muhammad Hassan as a fucking excuse to do that segment while what's going on in the country for a situation and the issue you yourself advocate for and try to make sure it's a better situation for people like you is fucking embarrassing. What happened on Tuesday has nothing to do with what happened with Muhammad Hassan or fucking Skandar Akbar or whatever the fuck happened with the Sergeant Slaughter at WrestleMania 7 or whatever happened in WWE. Two wrongs don't make a right. I said this earlier. Two wrongs don't make a right. I don't give a fuck what WWE does. That doesn't give you the right to do it. Read the fucking room. And I've said this before. We're in the industry and we enjoyed growing up watching professional wrestling and understanding there's a lot of things that's not morally acceptable and not always politically correct. But if you want to play this song and dance about what's morally correct and morally wrong, be consistent about it. And when you get criticism thrown your way, well, WWE did this. Well, WWE did this. So just because WWE did it, that means you can do it. You're not at fault. You're not at wrong. You're immune for reading the room. You have no fucking self-awareness. Tony Khan. I don't give a fuck if this is a part of a storyline. Read the fucking room, man. There's a time and place for everything. I understand that in professional wrestling. I've seen shit that should be accepted or allowed over the years in professional wrestling. That doesn't mean that, because WWE does this, AEW's immune for doing stupid, ignorant things on television. Two wrongs don't make a right. It's bad enough your fucking your booker, your owner, and general manager of promotion carries himself like a fucking 12-year-old dirt sheet fanboy on Twitter every day. But to even go out of your way to defend that decision to have that on television is a fucking joke. So for all you AEW diehards that go after WWE for the stuff that they do, look yourself in the mirror too, because two wrongs don't make a right. And seeing that on Tuesday was it wasn't even a funny joke, because we got to play comedy time with Rock Hard Juice Robinson. Dude, you're a fucking schmuck. All right, I don't care whether you're the heel or the babyface. You, my friend, are a fucking schmuck. Okay. I wanted to use this situation that happened, this controversy that happened on Tuesday as the CLAHN of the week, but even then, it's not even necessary. The fact that we're having a conversation over anti-Semitism towards Jews on a worldwide television show, while everything's going on outside of the arena in real life, for cheap heat, over the fact that JY just wants to have a stranglehold over the AEW prop, is just bullshit, man. I don't give a fuck about what happened with Muhammad Hassan. Two wrongs don't make a right. So, that was that. I mentioned before, I liked the Bryan Danielson Strickland match. I thought that was good. The Shida Saraya match is okay. Pockets is now your new international champion. Is he turning into a good guy or a bad guy? Don't know. Don't care. I didn't care for the match, to be honest with you. I'm just not an Orange Cassidy fan. And then we had Adam Copeland and Luchasaurus. I put over the Christian Cage promo earlier. I thought that was good. The Adam Cole vignette I thought it was pretty decent as well. But the Edge and Luchasaurus match, a little long, to be honest with you. I thought it served its purpose, though. It was very, very physical. But much to the surprise of nobody, Edge won the match. After match, we had the AEW special. The Afterbirth Brawl on crack. So we have Nick Wayne and Dino Douche out there. Out comes the Mogul Embassy. Out comes Hangman Page. All hell's breaking loose. We got Bryan Danielson putting Christian Cage into a label lock because they're fighting each other on Collision on Saturday for the TNT title to go off the air with Edge looking on. At the Birth Brawl, that's what we got for our Elite Wrestling promotion, right? So, with that being said, let's get into our Excrement Impression before we wrap up this segment this week. Coming to you live on TNT tomorrow night's another stellar edition of AEW Rampage. Here are your matches. Up first, we have the Gates of Agony taking on Blackpool Club's members Claudio Castagnoli and We Larry Useless. From there, we have a trios match, which features the Hardy Boys and Brother Zay taking on Daniel Garcia, Daddy Magic, and CLAHN Ange. From there, we have women's action as Sky Blue takes on Emi Sakura. And our main event, it's Jay Lethal taking on Trent Beretta of Best Friends. And coming up on Saturday night at a special start time at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 6 p.m. Central. If you live in the West Coast, figure it out for yourself. It's another stellar edition of AEW Collision. We have the champion Christian Cage winning his TNT title on the line against Bryan Danielson. More matches to be announced on Twitter. Make sure to follow Tony Khan on Twitter at Tony Khan and get all your AEW tickets right now at AEWTIX.com. That's AEWTIX.com. And on that note, we pose a question each and every single week. You guys probably should know the answer by now. Well, let me ask it one more time. Ladies and gentlemen, what the hell's wrong with AEW?
This has been What the Hell is Wrong with AEW.
Fuck this shit, I'm out. Fuck this shit, I'm out. No thanks. Don't mind me. I'ma just grab my stuff and leave. Excuse me, please. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Nope. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Alright then. I don't know what the fuck just happened, but I don't really care. I'ma get the fuck up out of here. Fuck this shit, I'm out.
All right. What the hell's wrong with AEW in the books? We got one more segment to do here before we wrap up this week's edition of the Hoots Podcast. Let's take this off the screen really quick. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for another fun edition of one of my favorite segments on the show. It's called the CLAHN of the Week. Right now, we're going to make some football picks as well to wrap up this segment this week. But we have the CLAHN of the Week to do first. So let's do this. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, right here on the Hoots Podcast, here's this week's edition of the CLAHN of the Week.
I'm not CLAHN. You're big CLAHN.
One more time for good measure.
I'm not CLAHN. You're big CLAHN.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, the CLAHN of the Week. We had a smorgasbord of nominees this week. But for me, this week, the winner of the CLAHN of the Week is Jada Pinkett Smith. If you guys are living under the rock, we all know about the continued issues between her and Will Smith. Now we know it's news that these two have been separated for 7 years. And now you think about everything that happened with Chris Rock, now to the point where Will Smith is banned from attending Oscar events for a decade. I think that's what the consequence was for that situation. Everything in between. Jada Pinkett Smith is another airhead woman who talks and doesn't think before she speaks. It's a shame because I liked a lot of her work as an actor, but as these years going on and everything that's come out with her situation with Will Smith and the separation and the entanglement and whatever the fuck's going on between those two, Jada Pinkett Smith, you are indeed a CLAHN. So the winner of the CLAHN of the Week award this week goes to Jada Pinkett Smith. All right. Before we get to our picks for football this week, I wanted to play a clip here from the A3 Weeks podcast with Eric Bischoff, getting his little thoughts here. And it's actually strictly business with Bischoff and Mr. John Alba here. Talk about AEW and NXT. Let's take a little listen for that, and hope you guys enjoy it.
That was you should have interrupted because that's a critical point. I'm glad you pointed it out. They would end up with 900 excited about a Paul Heyman or a John Cena right now because it's only temporary, or an Undertaker or Becky Lynch, or you name it. Especially oh my gosh, the guy. I'm just blanking here.
LA Knight.
LA Knight. God, how can I forget? I'm a huge fan. I just blanked on it. I don't care what their birth certificate says. They're going to draw a younger demo because they're fucking exciting and they're fun to watch and they're great entertainers. But more than any of that, I believe that there's just so much duplication between the two audiences. And when given an opportunity, the majority of that audience is going to watch a WWE product, head-to-head or otherwise. I think there's a small portion, a very small portion of the Dynamite audience, the AEW audience, that do not watch WWE. And I think, we've been seeing it. And one of the reasons that I revised my number a little bit last night, I predicted that NXT would win. They would end up with 975,000 viewers, and I think I came in at 600 or whatever it was, maybe a little more. Can't remember my own post, but 600 for AEW. And a lot of the reason why I was so confident in predicting that is because I'm convinced of the duplication factor and the fact that WWE, whether it's in NXT or on Raw or on SmackDown, they understand television. And that's the big distinction between WWE and AEW. AEW, for however much of a huge wrestling fan Tony Khan's been all of his life, doesn't mean he understands television. And that's the difference. One group knows how to produce television. The other one gets to put together fantasy wrestling matches.
I find it.
What else needs to be said there? There you go. All right, let me make my picks for the football year. We got week 6 action. I picked the Chiefs. I think they might be having a shutout victory. It's 16-0 right now in the fourth quarter. Here's my picks for week 6. I got the Chargers over the Cowboys. That game's going to be on Monday Night Football. I got the Falcons over the Commanders. Bears get a dub at home against the Vikings. Jaguars over the Colts. There you go, TK. Throw you a bone. I picked your football team to beat the Colts. Got the Saints over the Texans. Raiders over the Patriots. And the Patriots are a dumpster fire right now. It's not looking good for them right now. But I'll go with the Raiders. They're coming off a big victory over the Packers. It's nice to see that. I got the Lion over the Buccaneer. I got the Lions beating the Bucs. Got the Ravens over the Titans. That should be a good game coming up. I think that game's in London, if I'm not mistaken, right? It's an early morning game. Got the Bengals over the Seahawks. Rams over the Cardinals. Bills over Giants. That is Sunday Night Football. Eagles over the Jets. 49ers over the Browns. Dolphins over the Panthers. And like I said, I got the Chiefs over the Broncos. So those are my picks for week 6. And on that note, we're going to put a ribbon on the bow for this week's edition of the Hoots Podcast. This is a lot of fun. I know I got on a little couple rants this week, but I love and appreciative of this platform, and I thank you for all for hanging out with me tonight. This was a really fun episode of the Hoots Podcast, and love to see you guys' feedback for the episode this week. As always, you can hit me up at Twitter if you like, at the Hoots Podcast, or anywhere you get your podcast from. Make sure to follow, like I said, on Twitter at the Hoots Podcast. I'm on Instagram at Joshie Lopez Media. Make sure to check out my transcripts at WrestlingHeadlines.com. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel as we're on the road to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. And always remember, folks, be the authentic product that is yourself. Remember, nobody dictates the pace of your life but yourself and the man upstairs. This has been episode 382 of the Hoots Podcast. I'm Joshie. And as you see the title of this week's episode, my advice to each and every single one of you, don't be a CLAHN. We'll talk to y'all later. Peace.